Hi friends! Today's video is going to be all about adding and subtracting with regrouping. SOL 4.4b says that 4th graders will add, subtract, and multiply whole numbers. What's even more important than knowing the steps for these is our accuracy. Sometimes we still get them wrong, right? So that's what we're going to practice on this year, is making sure that we're very careful when we're making our calculations and we are improving our accuracy rate. Some important vocabulary words that you need to also know are sum, difference, product, and quotient. So sometimes when you are doing problems, they're not going to show you these symbols. You can see here on this problem, they show you the addition symbol, and they actually say the word plus, and they show another addition symbol. So if they ask you to find the sum, then you automatically know what to do, but sometimes they're not going to show you those symbols. But a sum is the answer to an addition problem. The difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Product is the answer to a multiplication problem. And the factors are the two numbers that you multiply. And finally, a quotient is the answer to a division problem. So the tricky part on the SOL is sometimes they ask you to find the sum, but they're not going to show you the symbol. They want you to know that, oh, I need to add those numbers. Or sometimes they're going to say, find the difference. But what they want you to know is that means you're going to be subtracting. Sometimes they'll give you two numbers and ask you, find the product. And you need to remember that you're going to be multiplying. And if they ever ask you to find the quotient, that means you're going to be dividing. So will you remember these terms? Of course you will, because we'll practice. Lots of practice this year. So sometimes when you're finding the sum of two numbers, it's pretty simple, right? 3 plus 6 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. 7 plus 1 is 8. Simple. There we go. Of course, that's not where it ends, because they always increase the level of difficulty. So sometimes when you're finding the sum of two numbers, 6 plus 7 is 13. And here you go. You can't do that, right? You can only put one number in each place value. So that's when you're going to have to know how to regroup. So the first thing that I want you to remember is that these are place values, and you can only have one digit in each place value. Okay, so let's take a look and see what this looks like with base 10 blocks first. So we have 6 ones, so we'll put 6 ones. We have 9 tens, so we put 9 tens. And we have 2 hundreds, so we'll put 2 hundreds. Okay, well, the first thing we need to do is add the ones, 7 ones. So we're going to go ahead and put 7 ones blocks in there. And you can see if you add those up that it's going to be 13. And like we just said, we can't have two digits in one place value. So that's why we carry the 1. We're moving this 10 into the tens column. Okay, and so this is what it's going to look like. We're going to take 10 of those blocks, stack them together into a tens block, and move it over. And that's what we're doing when we do this. 6 plus 7 is 13, but we put the 1 up here. That's what we did right here. It's actually like a tens block. Okay, now we're going to be adding these 3 tens, or 30. So we'll put 3 tens blocks in the tens column. We're going to be adding those up now And those are 13. Again, too many digits for one place value. So we're going to take one of those and we're going to put it in the hundreds column. So since this is like we're saying 13 tens, we're going to take 10 of those tens blocks, put them together, and that makes a 100 block. 10 tens blocks makes 100. So we're going to move that to the hundreds column. All right, so here is what we have left. And now we need to add these 4 hundreds blocks. Okay, so we'll put some 400s blocks in there. And we're done. All right, so now we have 7 hundreds blocks, 3 tens blocks, and 3 ones. So let's take a look at that again, just manually, me solving this problem. 7 plus 6 is 13. We're going to put that 10 in the tens column. 1 10 plus 9 tens is 10 tens, plus 3 is 13 tens. So we're going to take 10 of those tens and put it in the hundreds columns. And then 1 plus 2 plus 4 would be 7. So we get the same answer both ways. All right. So how does that work when we're finding the difference? Using base 10 blocks is a really important way. If you're still struggling with the steps of regrouping, you want to practice with the base 10 blocks, because that's a concrete way to see these numbers. So let me show you how you can do that on your side. So here we have 7 ones blocks, so we put 7 ones blocks here. Here we have 4 tens blocks, and then we have 3 hundreds blocks. Okay, so then the first thing we want to do is subtract 9. But you can see here we only have 7 ones blocks, don't we? So we can't subtract 9 when we only have 7. So what we need to do is borrow. We're going to borrow from the tens column. And now we're going to go the other way. This time we're going to move it this direction. And this time, in order to use those, we're going to bust those up into ones. And remember, we're subtracting 9. So we're going to take 9 of those out. Okay. Next, we're going to subtract 2 tens, or 20. So we're going to take 2 of these tens out. And then finally, we want to subtract 100. So we're going to take one of these hundreds out. And we're finished. So this is what we're left with after we have subtracted 129. So we have 2 100 blocks, 1 10 blocks, and 8 ones blocks. So that would be 218. So let's take a look at what that would look like to do it manually. 7 minus 9, I can't do that. So I'm going to need to borrow. So I'm going to take one of these tens blocks. Remember when we did that over there? I'm going to give it to this guy. Now we have 17 ones blocks. 17 minus 9 is 8. Look at this. And then 3 minus 2 would be 1, just like this. And 3 minus 1 is 2, just like this. All right, so that's how you can use base 10 blocks to get some practice with the regrouping. Now, of course, to make it even more challenging, sometimes they stick a lot of zeros in there just to make it a little bit more difficult. Okay, so let's do one of these together. So obviously if I have 0 ones, I can't subtract 7. So I need to borrow from the tens column, but the tens doesn't have any. Okay, so what you do is you go to the hundreds column and you're going to kind of pass it down the row. So I'm going to take one of these guys, pass it to the tens column, and then he's going to keep 9 of them and give me 1 in the ones column. So you kind of just pass it down the row. 10 minus 7 would be 3. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 7 minus 2 is 5. So our final answer is 543. All right. So one final warning before we end this video today. Sometimes they set up a subtraction problem sideways like this, and what you're expected to do is set it up vertically. And what I have seen many times is that students will set it up like this. Eee! No. Because if you're doing this, remember these are place values. So this 2 over here, this 2 is 200. But if you put it here, you're putting it in the thousands place because it's the same thing as putting a 0 here. And you have greatly increased the value of that number, and that is not what we're supposed to do. So what we need to make sure we're doing is lining up our place value. This is a ones place value. So we need to put it in the same area as this 3, which is in the ones. So we're going to scoot it down. All right, so when I see them set up like this, that makes me very happy because they're lined up with the correct place value. All right. All right, so I want you to be determined that you're going to be training your brain this week to do it. And it's okay to make mistakes because why? They're proof that you're trying. And that's all. We're going to learn from our mistakes. We're not going to give up if we make a mistake. We're going to keep going. All right, friends, thanks for watching.